Thank you for joining Conversations for the Animals, the Houston Pet Set podcast. I am Lisa Tynan, and I am joined today by, I sort of want to call you like royalty of Houston animal welfare, because I don't know anyone who doesn't know you or who hasn't worked with you. Gloria Zenteno with Barrio Dogs and Unity for a Solution, and like a whole list of other organizations that you work with, which is truly incredible. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Lisa. What a nice compliment.
Well, I mean, truly, we're all online. We're all on Facebook. And I don't think a week goes by that you are not attending some really important community event. And it's just, first of all, I don't know how you have the energy to work, do rescue, and also just be so involved in the community. But I think it's part of what makes your perspective so important in animal welfare is you are out in the community all the time with the people who we are working with and trying to support and pet owners. So,
well, it didn't start out that way.
Oh, no.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So tell us the origin story of Gloria then.
Yeah. So I'm a native Houstonian. I was born and raised in the East End. I was in corporate, my former career, almost 30 years.
Okay.
And things changed. I moved back to my community over 15 years ago. And then I started seeing all the stray animals, dogs on chains, pregnant mamas. And at that time, I would drive to my really great job in the Galleria and see a totally different life over there. People walking their animals on leashes and they're healthy. And then I would come back to my community and see these tragedies every day. And I thought, why isn't anybody saying anything about this? So we're dug in. My husband and I are now, we're committed to the community. We love the East End. And that's really how the story started. So I started getting involved with some rescue groups, all great animal welfare groups. But I realized really quickly that they weren't doing what I felt was important, and that is education and community outreach. So that's kind of how the mission started with Barrio Dogs, and it's started out also as a family affair. My family are musicians. They kind of helped us jumpstart the organization and get the name out there. And it just took off. We're almost 13 years. We're getting ready to celebrate our 13th anniversary in the spring of March 2023. And although we've done a lot of great work, as you know, there's still so much work out there. Yeah. So the reason I'm always out in the community is I do community relations for several nonprofits. And so I just get to attend a lot of events. And it's great because I get to talk about Barrio Dogs as well.
Yeah. So for those who may not speak Spanish, barrio means neighborhood.
Yeah. It's nothing slang or negative.
No, it means neighborhood dogs, and you primarily focus on the East End community, correct?
Yes. And I wish we could do more, but we are having a hard time even tackling the East End. Yeah. But that's why we have a sister organization called Unity for a Solution. Similar concept, getting out there with spay and neuter initiatives and out in the community, but we focus all over Houston in communities like 5th Ward, 2nd Ward, Denver Harbor, with communities that have this need.
Right. And so let's delve a little bit into that need, because you talked about the juxtaposition really between certain neighborhoods, the River Oaks, the Galleria areas, and what I consider where I live to be the heart of Houston, the East End and the wards. What is the issue that you are trying to address with Barrio Dogs and with Unity, and what's missing? What are we not addressing?
Well, I just think that residents in this community don't have access to low cost or free spay and neuter. I think that they genuinely care about these animals. They just don't have resources. We get in the community, we talk to these individuals. People will say, I found a stray dog and then it was a mama and it had 5 puppies. And, if they're struggling to pay their electric bill or, gas for the car, which one are they going to choose? So we just feel like investing in the community in this way and providing free access for spay, neuter, vaccination, and microchip, that's a good solution. The children is another big investment for us. We get into the schools, primarily elementary, because we feel like investing really young is important. And that's mind-blowing. I mean, we'll be in a cafeteria style, auditorium style, where there's 300 children.
Mhm.
And we might bring one of the dogs that we've rescued off the streets, and it's very impactful. It's things that they'll remember, and they take home literature in English and Spanish to their families. And I mean, I still remember things that I learned in grade school and middle school. So we think it's important to invest in our children. That's one of our core programs.
Absolutely. And you and I were discussing a little bit earlier that education aspect that is so wanting, not just in Houston or in Texas, but really curriculum wide across the country. That's something that one of our partners, Texas Humane Legislation Network, is planning on focusing in the coming year, which is so wonderful.
Love it.
You know, I don't remember in my childhood ever learning about really animals at all
I didn't either.
in school.
I didn't either.
And I was lucky to grow up in a family that had pets and loved animals, but not everybody has that early exposure. And it's mind-blowing to me that it's such a part of our life. It's such a part of our community, and we're not talking to children about it. That's crazy.
Yeah. And for me, living in the East End and growing up, it took me leaving and then coming back to see that in a different way. So I think that people are just used to it and thought it was just the norm.
Sure.
But no, it's not. Animals are our family, and we can make a bigger difference through education and our community.
So if someone is interested in, what Barrio Dogs does, because you are primarily volunteers, and what are the types of things that people do with Barrio Dogs? On a day-to-day basis, are you rescuing dogs? Are you...
Yeah. Yeah. So we are not a rescue group, but it's difficult not to rescue because,
Right.
I feel like being part of the community, I live in the community, I feel like it's still our responsibility to do some of that, and we do.
Of course.
And,
it's hard to say no when they're looking at you.
And if you see an animal, which we still see so many, if you see one that's in distress or have been injured, we're not going to turn our backs on that. I know Houston Pet Set's the same way. We just have to do that. And no, currently we are still volunteers. We have somebody who answers our phone calls and emails. And, we have people that help us with marketing and social media. And kind of all over the place. I do a little bit of everything. Yep. We have events every year. We do a spring and a fall fix it. We're do a spay and neuter initiative. Excuse me. And we're doing one on Saturday, which will be at Days of Olive Park. It's our fall fix it. We are anticipating 75 to 100 residents come and sign up their pets. They'll receive free spay neuter vaccination microchip. And Mansa Pet is our veterinary partner. Houston Humane Society will be providing food. We're going to have collars, leashes, information in English and Spanish. And again, we do these events, but we think that partnership is huge. And we can't do them without grants from Houston Pet Set. So it's nothing that we can all do alone. I just still believe in collaboration and partnerships.
Absolutely. And at these events, and I've had the privilege of attending some of them. We've done events together. When you're talking to the pet owners that show up, and you talked about the financial need, and of course that's huge. What is the feedback that you get? I mean, do people feel like they're being seen or heard? Do they feel like they're being left behind? Do you get the sense that they have the resources at all that they need?
Oh, no, I don't. I mean, we have people show up that are in tears. They can't believe that we're going to provide this service for them. They almost feel like, what's the catch? And do we need to bring proof of our light bill and address? No, we create no barriers. Now, we typically have to target specific zip codes because we're in the East End.
Right.
But I will share that, if somebody comes outside of the zip code, we still sign them up because we try to figure out, okay, if we can't help them, can another partner help them, like Unity for Solution or Houston Pet Set? So we're going to get that animal done. Yeah. So people are struggling out there. Yeah. People still have not recovered from COVID. I mean, the price of so many things are going up. I mean, groceries, gasoline. It's been a tough year, tough couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, even going back to Harvey, people still haven't fully recovered. People are still living in houses that are that haven't been rebuilt. And you will find, of course, that certain communities received support before others. And you know, the need, and it's nobody is out to try and demean, you know, Second Ward, Fifth Ward, Third Ward. They're being left behind deliberately. And the groups who are out there and communicating with them and asking what they need. We did a surprising event, you and I, a couple months ago, where we were nervous people weren't going to show up for free microchips and vaccines, and we had thousands of people show up.
Yes.
And just by word of mouth. And that was what astounded me, is that once somebody hears there are resources for me, they will drop everything for their pets.
They will.
It was 100 degrees out. People were waiting in line for hours. They were committed to the animals.
Yes.
It always breaks my heart when I see, and it breaks my heart even more when I see it coming from within the rescue community, this quick judgment of pet owners because they haven't given their pets the care that maybe we would consider a priority. But if it's not accessible to them, as soon as it's made accessible, they show up.
And it's so expensive.
It's so expensive.
If we didn't have a veterinarian partner like Emancipate Houston, we would be in trouble.
Yeah.
But I understand. I mean, these clinics are private clinics. They have staff. They have insurance. So prices are going up for them as well.
Absolutely.
So we just need more affordable vet care in the city of Houston, more people sponsoring free, and I think it'll start to help. I mean, we have a big job in the city of Houston, but I've been doing this for 13 years now with Barrio Dogs, and I mean, I'm in.
There's no backing out now.
I live in the community. I'm invested, and so I really want to see change, and so I'm dug in.
Yeah, and it's hard to see the forest for the trees sometimes when we are so deeply embedded in it that we feel it can be discouraging when we see so much need. But pulling back a little bit, seeing some of the victories that we have had, there is progress being made.
For sure.
And more people are aware of the problem now. You know, I appreciate that so much news has been focused on what's going on in the city and the county with our homeless animal problem, because if people don't know about it, they can't vote to fix it. They can't advocate with their city council members. There are so many different avenues that the average Houstonian can go to try and help the problem, even if they're not going to have their own nonprofit.
Oh, yes, totally agree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have, like I mentioned, community and education. So we have a Youth and Pause program for our children. Fix It is our community outreach where we sign up residents for free spay and neutering. But during COVID, our need tripled. I'm sure it did for you guys too.
Yep.
And it was interesting to us, or alarming, that people didn't know the basic things like, what's the difference between BARC and SPCA and how do I report animal cruelty? And so because of that, we started a Neighborhood Advocates project.
Okay.
And it's been really successful. I mean, we've had, our first webinar, we had 30 people that participated.
Wow.
And these residents started becoming advocates for their own neighborhood, emailing, calling elected officials. We even had several of them speak in front of council.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I just think that, we're a small area. I just think that we need to do advocacy in a bigger way in the city of Houston. And so I hope that you mentioned earlier that Houston Pet Set may be taking that on next year.
Yeah.
Please.
It's such a what we think of as a huge problem, but having conversations with people not in animal welfare, it's mind-boggling what they don't know.
I know. It could be our closest friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? You didn't know that? But yeah.
And with Thanksgiving coming up and with the holidays coming up, it's a really great opportunity for people to sit down and be like dinner table advocates, right? And to talk about what the problem is and break it down to manageable action items. So, what are some action items that you give somebody to say, how can I help my community? Like on that webinar, how are you empowering people to advocate?
So I'd use my story is that I worked for a council person at one time, and I had no idea how powerful it was for people that were calling in and emailing. Your voice really matters with an elected official, and I don't think they realize that.
Yeah.
And I said, if you don't want to speak in front of council, you can just write an email. You can just call. So we gave them kind of canned narratives, what to email them about. But also that if they wanted to have, like if a civic president wanted to have an event, where they're just passing out literature about Barrio Dogs, or they can make up their own literature. We could help with food, collar, leashes, and we'll sponsor that. Just kind of spread that message far and wide. Yeah. Just trying to create new leaders.
It's again, going back to, we've been doing this a long time, and it sort of feels like it's all of the same people and we're all beating the same drum, but getting new, fresh voices in there can make the world a difference.
Yes.
And reach people who haven't been paying attention yet.
Yeah, it's such a big problem. We need an army.
Yeah. Yes. It sometimes feels like we already are a little militant, but in a good way.
Yes.
So if I am Joe dog lover or Jane cat lover, and I want to get involved with Barrio Dogs and with Unity for a Solution, how do I do that?
So we're all over social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have a website for Barrio Dogs. You can reach us at barriodogs.org. That's BARRIODOGS.org. We have an email info. Barrio Dogs, if you Google Barrio Dogs, we have a telephone number. So people can just call us there. We are getting ready to celebrate, as I mentioned, 13 years. So we're having our normal location in the East End, a little cafe bar that there's art, music.
Fun.
So that's March 26th. In 2023. It's only 5 months away.
I was just counting on my fingers earlier. We're already almost to 2023.
Yeah, and it'll be our third year to combine it with Pedal for Paws. We started that in the year of COVID because it wasn't safe to congregate. So we started a bike tour through the East End. So save the date.
Save the date. And one of the things that I love so much about Barrio Dogs is that I see you partnering with groups outside of animal welfare, which I think is such a it shouldn't be a novel idea, but it is, that we're all so used to partnering with each other. But, if someone has never heard of you or doesn't know where to start in the world of animal welfare, having these celebrations and parties and events with outside groups is so brilliant.
Yes.
And simple.
Yes. So I'm a strong partner Barrio Dogs is with East End Communities, and they're a coalition of all of these organizations that are trying to do great things to improve the community, mental health, exercise, access to more vaccines. I mean, it's just a great idea.
Right.
And so when they invited us to partner, we do all different types of events all together.
It's fabulous.
Yeah. But still, I think partnering with animal welfare groups is also very important.
Yeah.
We don't need to be working in these silos. I know it happens because we're drowning in our own groups, but I just think it's so important to work together. I mean, that's what I love about Unity for Solution. I'm one of the original co-founders, and that started because Barrio Dogs thought we could just turn over the rescue groups, the rescues to all these other groups, right?
Right.
Well, they were all drowning in fosters, not enough adopters, not enough money. And then that's how that kind of started. Like, let's just all work together. And Houston Pet Ed has been very supportive and is one of our partners too. So I think Unity is also valuable and important, and I hope that it grows even more.
You just celebrated 10 years.
We just had a great 10-year anniversary, and it was a great success. And if people want to get involved, it's unityforasolution.org, and you can reach us at info@unityforasolution.org.
It's in the name, right? Unity. And we have had so many conversations about, you and I, but also I'm sure everyone listening from the rescue community, about why aren't we working together more and duplicating efforts I mean, we're not as efficient as we could be, right? So we're hoping groups like Unity for Solution, like Barrio Dogs, like Houston Pet Set, who aren't rescues, but who are deeply embedded in the rescue community. We want to get everyone on the same page. And so we're not battling for funds, and we're not battling for who can get the most likes on Facebook or whatever. We're all doing the same thing.
Right.
Let's try and play to our strengths and be more efficient and utilize these somewhat sparse funds in the best possible way.
Yes.
It's really, I think, the only way forward for us to be able to tackle this homeless animal crisis, because if we're all fighting each other for the same territory, you know, the real people and the real beings suffering are the animals and their owners. Yep. So let's all work together, everybody.
That's right.
We're doing the staring at the camera thing because it's that important that we're all on the same team.
Yeah. That's always been important to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I focus in the East End, and believe me, I'd love to branch out, but I can't even. It's just overwhelming. But I think for Barrio Dogs, we've always wanted to have positive partners.
Yeah.
There's no reason for any of this, competition, because in the end, like you said, it's for the animals.
Yes. And one thing I have noticed, and I will say it brings me probably the most hope out of any of this, is I'm seeing now networks between organizations and fosters where if someone is full, they say they're reaching out and reaching out to our compatriots in other groups and saying, we don't have space for this dog, but we can help you and we'll pay for this. And there's a little bit more of this branching out and reaching in for each other.
Yeah, I've got to give some shout outs. I mean, Anna Barbosa with K911, love you, girl. She has helped me transport, and also Lola's Lucky Dog. I mean, just amazing. I mean, we cannot do this alone. It's just hard work. So when we can work with partners like that, it's just a win-win.
Yes. And we talked about a little bit before we started recording about the risk that all of us face with burnout. And we've all been there, questioning our choices of why we do what we do. And I hope that all of our listeners, whether they are volunteers or staff or just animal lovers, are taking an opportunity to take some time for yourselves, and because there's so much work to be done.
Yes.
And if we go full steam ahead all the time and never stop to practice a little self-care, we're going to run out of people. And if we run out of people, the animals are out of luck.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So
take time for yourself.
Yes.
And that also goes for you, Gloria. This is, we all need it, and few people are out in the community as much as you are. And I hope that you are also being supported in everything that you're doing. And if Houston Pet Set can do that, by golly, we're going to do it.
Awesome. Well, I've got this retreat idea.
Yes.
We'll talk about that later, Tina and Tama.
We're scheming. We have an idea. It involves yoga and meditation. We're very excited about it. More to come on that. I'm always impressed by how positive and hopeful Unity for Solution and Barrio Dogs really are about making the community better and focusing. There's nothing wrong with focusing in on your neighborhood, because that is the place that you know and the place that knows you and lives in you. And so thank you for that, because it's also my neighborhood.
That's right.
And I love being out and about and seeing the events and everything that y'all are at, and it gives me hope. And I hope that the people that we work with and our friends and our family are seeing that and feeling inspired by that, because we got a lot to do, but there are groups like yours that are working hard every day and doing it. So thank you for everything that y'all do.
Welcome.
Keep up the fight.
Yeah.
Don't burn out.
I need that retreat.
Yes, we need that retreat.
So you live in Second Ward, and that's a big part of the East End. My family, that's where I was born and raised. My family goes back almost 100 years.
Wow.
So that's my commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like I have to do something to make the neighborhood change, to improve the future for our animals and our pets in the community.
Yeah.
So,
and the people that love them, because they deserve that attention and care and to be valued just as much.
Yes.
Absolutely. Gloria, always a pleasure spending time with you. Thank you
Same here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And thank you for everything that you do and for your volunteers who, anytime I see them, are just the happiest, most wonderful volunteers. They are fabulous. Barrio Dogs and Unity for a Solution are sister organizations, and they are doing incredible work, not just in the East End, but across the city of Houston and Harris County. So look them up, volunteer, support them, and cheer them on as they work to make things better for the city of Houston.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next season. This is, oh, by the way, this is our last episode of 2022. Congratulations, you're closing us out.
Yay.
Everybody have wonderful holiday season. Stay safe. Don't feed your pets table scraps.
That's right.
We'll see you next year.